Hey, everybody. To homeschool or not to homeschool? That's the question today. Man, I am upset. This morning, I spent all morning speaking with administrators with the school district in the city we live in. And I wasn't very happy with some of the results that I got. And I'm leaning more towards pulling our child out of public schools because he's failing and there's no way to bring him back.
Yeah, he's too far into it to make any progress out of it. Even if he, on every paper he got right now, would be an A, it still would not get him out of where he's at.
And I've been fighting with the school. You've been fighting with the school all school year long. We understand that our child has responsibilities. We understand that our child has requirements to do his work and get it done. So the issue that we had at the beginning of the school year, from the very beginning, he went to school and didn't do anything
Yeah.
for 3 weeks before we found out.
And they allowed him.
They
not to
allowed
do
this to
anything.
happen. The school in which he goes allowed this to happen. And it wasn't just this. He has 7 teachers per day. And not one of them said a thing. Not a single one of, not even the ones that appear to care. They didn't say anything.
Yeah, like you would think, even like a counselor or something would know.
Somebody would reach out and say, hey, your child's failing every class and your child's not doing anything. Like we didn't by the time. So we did ask questions, those probing questions that parents are supposed to ask. Now we do understand that our child has some responsibility in this. We do understand that our child is responsible for his grades. We get that. But why does our son have a different set of rules than his teachers do? Because his teachers are required to grade their, to grade the papers that come in. They're required to update the grades in the grade books and let us know what's going on. That is stuff that they are supposed to do, and it's part of their job.
But if the student's required to finish the assignment before they leave for the day, why is the teacher not responsible to have it graded
Right.
by the next day?
Right. And they have 5 minutes in between each class. Most of them, everything's on the computer. Like I do understand teachers get bogged down. I do understand they're not paid enough, but these teachers where Sully's at aren't doing anything.
Yeah, like and why isn't the district allowing them time in their schedule in the day to grade papers? Why is it taking them 3 weeks to grade papers, or why are they having to grade papers while they're at home?
And
on their own time.
This isn't something that's been addressed and it's been taken care of, or this has been brought to the attention to each individual teacher. We've sent emails.
Some teachers I haven't even got responses back from
Right.
all year long.
Right. And we've addressed that with the principal as well, the administrator of the school itself. And we get just kind of brushed off like it doesn't matter. And I think she thinks because she's pretty, it works. And it doesn't. Well, number one, pretty is relative. So it's not, and I'm married. So, it doesn't really matter to me if you put on makeup every morning. You still got a job to do. And this principal, I'll speak with her, and she will tell me what I want to hear or what she thinks I want to hear. And then I'll give her a little bit of pushback. She gets really defensive, really dismissive. Oh, I know how to do my job. You don't know what my job is. You don't know. And it's not, I don't care. I don't really care. All I know is your students are failing.
Well,
And are asking for help and can't get it.
what irritates me is because when when he transitioned from 6th to 7th grade, they had like a field trip
Right.
to the middle school to like, an introductory thing to middle school. And, I went with him. Few other parents went with their kids too, but like, I felt like it was some type of reform school. Like they acted like it was like military school, and this principal was like, I run a very tight ship here. Like I will be very in tune with
No.
everybody's grades, and I
Anytime
will
that
know where you're
anytime-
at. And I'm like, When has
There's
she
kids
ever
walking
called
out of
us?
that door. There's kids walking out of that door with vapes in hand.
Oh, yeah, right
These
on
are
the sidewalk.
12 and 13-year-old kids. 12 and 13-year-old kids walking out of the school, vapes in hand. There's cops standing at the door watching this stuff.
Yeah.
And every word, every other word out of these children's mouths is a curse
Well,
word.
remember when we had the meeting and like outside in the
Just
hallway,
screaming down the hallways and everything. Yeah.
like in all the language that we heard, and I thought, well, this, I mean, like, what kind of tight ship are we running here? Because it sure
Exactly.
doesn't seem like
Right.
it. And then for her to say, like, I will be like in your grades, I'll know where they're at. Like, she never once has contacted us
No.
to let us know of Sully's grades. It's always been us reaching out to her.
A bunch of
For
empty
his
promises. And
grades.
we do understand that our child's the asshole here. We do get that. Like, he should be doing his work or at least reaching out for help if he needs help. But, he has reached out a couple times, and what he's gotten is, your email was rude, so I'm not going to help
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
And I don't know what these people think. Like, if they can just treat their, treat children like this, and it's absolutely okay, and they're going to get a positive response out of the child by treating them like that.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't work that way. I mean, they get enough of that shit from us when they're home. Like, why do you need to treat them badly? They're
Yeah.
supposed to go to school to learn. They're not supposed to go to school to get chastised because they need help.
Yeah.
And like, our son, even if he needs help, he's not going to ask. And we've told them that numerous times. And so if you notice, like, he's got a bad paper here, he didn't like, that somebody graded that paper,
Yeah.
and they know. And so they can bring that to his attention. Look, Sully, what's going on here? Do you need some help? And if he says no at that point,
Yeah.
contact mom and dad if you got more than 2 or 3 of those papers so we can address it at home.
Well, and like when I reached out to the one teacher because his grades, like I told her, I was like, he's basically been grounded for 6 months because of the grade he has in your
And
class.
by grounded, I don't mean just not like, no TV or anything. That kid was grounded, he didn't go anywhere, do anything, and
Yeah.
it didn't work. It didn't do any good. You know why? Because by the time we caught it, by the time the school updated their grades, he was too far behind.
Well, and I told her, and she's like, well, I asked Sully, I said, because, Sully's stubborn, like he's not going to ask you for help, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, I ask him for help, and he tells me no. But I'm like, you can clearly see he needs help if he's getting F after F after F after F in your class on every assignment.
I
At what
know
point
that-
do you step in as a teacher and be like,
Or at
okay,
least
what's
notify
going
somebody that's
on
going
here?
because, like, I look at the grades. We look at his grades daily, and the way we have to be able to tell if he's doing good or bad is by his word. And then by the time that grades are updated, it's 3 weeks later. It's too late for him. They won't open up assignments, even though he has a 504 plan. And now, since we've had this conversation, I've had a conversation with an online school, tuition and tuition free, like the state stuff. I've been talking to people all day about this stuff. And it turns out that you ran into a few people with the exact same problem
At
that
the
we're
exact
having at
same
the
school.
exact same school. And
like them not following the 504 plan. Like this person's child had an IEP. They didn't follow the IEP.
and
Like that's a law. Like you have to follow the IEP.
Right.
You can't make exceptions for an IEP or say they don't fit your curriculum. They have to fit your curriculum.
Well, you know what IEP means? It means
Individual.
individual education plan. That means you got to plan the education to the individual, not the other way around.
And I don't think it should be the parents that are having to remind the teachers that children have these plans, because if I remember right in the meeting we sat in with the 504 plan, those people said we will make sure all his teachers are aware
Yeah.
of his 504 plan.
They sure did.
So
and
why
here
am
we are
I-
6 months later.
Why am I
after-
sending the email saying, hey, Sully does have a 504 plan in place that allows him extra time for assignments, quiet space for testing.
Right. And I spoke to the administrator this morning and so I told them, their plan is to just go ahead and have him do summer school and pass him off to high school. He's
Yeah.
not ready for high school. He's not. Even if he passed all these classes, he's not ready for high school. And I let my concerns be known. Her simple solution was just to hold him back and punish him because his educators failed him.
Yeah, so we're gonna
Now,
send him to the
I'll give you
same
this.
freaking
His parents
school.
failed him too.
But we're gonna
We
send
failed
it.
him
We're gonna
too.
send him to the same school with the same result. Like,
Right. No,
'cause they're not
I
gonna do
can't
anything to
that.
fix the
I'm not
school.
going to send him back to that school. If he has to repeat the 8th grade, he is not going to that school. And so we want, homeschool or not to homeschool. That is the question. So we've had a conversation with our son and he doesn't want to do the homeschool. And the biggest reason why is the social aspect. He won't see his friends. He won't be able to talk to his friends because he's not allowed to have social media. He's not allowed to have, cell phones, stuff like that. He can have electronics and stuff, but it's got to be monitored.
yeah,
He is allowed to do those things, but he doesn't want to miss out on the social aspect. And that's really the only thing I worry about is because I can teach dumb out of him. I cannot teach him social. And I have a difficult time teaching him anything because I'm not book smart.
yeah.
I don't know how to teach him like trigonometry. I don't know how to teach him like algebra or anything like that. I'm just not that smart.
Well, and I was trying to talk to him like about the social thing. And I was like, like we could find like things to do where you could still socialize with people. Like,
But at this point, he's not really
Yeah.
socializing with the right people anyway.
yeah,
He's socializing with the wrong type of people when he is socializing. And other than that, he's not social at home.
yeah,
He goes to his room and he plays video games that aren't connected to the internet. So he's not getting interaction there, and he hangs out on YouTube and, like that's part of our fault too, like
Yeah.
we do acknowledge that, but we do try to keep him active. We do try to keep him busy. We do try to keep him interacting with us. We have some friends that take him and, like we're trying to teach him the best we can. It's just as soon as we send him off to school, it gets all undone.
yeah,
Everything that we've tried, the discipline, he'll be just fine. We don't have any behavioral issues out of this kid at all. Like the worst thing that's ever happened is he gets a little lippy sometimes, but what teenager doesn't?
yeah.
And he never hollered at us, never raised his voice, nothing like that. So we don't have any behavioral issues out of the kid. It's
Yeah.
just academic. And so how do you punish him? The punishment has to fit the crime, right? So how do you punish him for being dumb? I don't know how. Like, do you keep him grounded and not let him do anything? How is that good for his social life?
Yeah, because he's told me that too. Like, you're affecting my social life,
Right.
and my mental health by keeping me grounded.
Oh my goodness. I don't,
So-
he'll get over that, but
Yeah.
it's just like, I do worry about that social interaction. What do you guys think? Do you like, if you were given the option, like I am a stay-at-home dad, I do have the capability of staying home with him and ensuring he gets an education. And I spoke with the online schooling that we have available here. I spoke with a couple different people. And the concerns that I had was I don't have the ability to teach him.
Yeah.
I don't have the knowledge base to be able to teach him. But they said that they would make the curriculum would be accessible to me so I can teach or not teach. Mm-hmm. They will be there for help and resources.
And like then they have tutoring.
And he will have his actual teachers, live teachers, and he'll have tutoring and all that stuff. And I will be in control of whether he is not doing his work.
Yeah.
And I
Because
won't
you'll have to, what they say, you would have to like sign off on it that he's completed it
Yes.
for the week or
Yes,
whatever.
and that's important because I can make sure he's doing it and I can make sure he's doing it properly. And if he goes to turn in a messed up assignment, it has to be checked by me first so I can be like, well, look, man, hey, how about this? How about you try again?
Yeah.
You know, that kind of stuff might be helpful. But I know he would receive a better education. And that is sad. That is really, really sad. I know he will receive a better education. And I'm a high school dropout.
Yeah.
I'm a functional
And that
idiot.
we'll probably have, real-time grades.
Right. I will have real-time grades. I'll be here with him every day, making sure he's doing and nobody cares about him more than we do. It makes sense, but I'm afraid of losing that social structure.
Yeah. Well, like I told him, I was like,
I would pay for private school, but we can't afford it. We don't
and
have
all
that
our
extra.
all our private schools here are religious private schools as well.
I don't really care about that.
So-
Like they do make, like a Christian school, they do make Bible part of the curriculum, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It's fine.
But like, I tried to tell him, like, Sully, I know you wanted to get a job. So, maybe when you're 15, we could find somewhere for you to work a few hours a week. And then you could interact with other kids your age, volunteering somewhere with other, like the Youth Alliance.
All right.
I don't know what all they got going on. But
As far as-
surely,
And I spoke with him about physical education requirements to ensure that he would have because one of the problems that we have is Sully's not really as physical and active as he should be. And if he is home, I can make sure that we get
Yeah.
in a workout together. And that would be a thing that him and I can do together every day. We'll just go to the gym and get our physical exercise in for the
Yeah.
day.
I mean, and maybe we can reach some parents that have homeschooled children and like, how did they
Hey, if
get
you've-
over that hurdle of the social?
Right. And that's basically, hey,
Or
we're
if you
here
were
for opinions.
homeschooled, like,
We're here for opinions.
like how was your social life if you were previously homeschooled?
So back when I was in school, back when I was in high school, the homeschool here, they had groups and proms and dances. I mean, they had that stuff. That was the thing. Like the homeschoolers had their own dance. The homeschoolers had their own proms. Like that was a thing. Like, but it was different homeschool back then. It wasn't online.
Yeah, it was actually somebody, like your parent
Right,
teaching you school.
right.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was kind of neat. But they do have some groups in Kansas City close by, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I'm not too concerned about the academics. I know we can teach him here, and I am terrified to send him to another school in our district because it seems like it's getting worse and worse and worse and
Well-
worse. Ladies and gentlemen, I kid you not, we could post our St. Joseph School District boards when they vote or when they do anything.
Like
It's
a
like a
board meeting?
circus. It's like a circus. Like there's a bunch of people screaming and yelling at each other.
And then after the meeting, there's
and
some
it has nothing to
purse
do with
throwing.
kids. It has nothing to do with kids. It's all about egos and taxes and bullshit and Susie over here getting her feelings hurt because this guy over here's an asshole. And who cares, man? We're here for the kids, and like talking to these administrators, they talk down to me
Yeah.
until I present them with a decent argument, and they don't know what to say. They don't have any pushback when they're presented with facts that they can't argue with.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, listen. And
Well,
I
what,
say
what did
this-
I say to you the other day? Like, without the data, you're just somebody with an opinion.
It's exactly right. So I use this as an example quite a bit because it's an easy number for them to understand. Like, look, if you have 30 children in a class, 30 children in a class, and 3 of them are failing, you as a teacher have a 10% failure rate in that class. Now you take 7 classes and you take that 10% fail, like you're crazy.
Well, so like they're doing the map testing this week, right?
Oh, yeah.
So Sully told me today, like he had to do map testing in like 3 classes or whatever. And I can't remember what teacher it was, but he's like, yeah, the MAP test is just so we can prove like if our teacher's going to have a job next year or not, because if we don't do well, they get fired. And I was like, then
That's not,
all your teachers would get fired.
and that's not what the MAP
And so
testing
I
is
was
for.
like, that
What
is
it's
not
for
it.
is so they can test all the kids, and the highest test scores get more money. And our education system's a little backwards that way.
Yeah.
You would figure that the lowest test scores would get more money.
Yeah.
No. Or the lower income neighborhoods would get the more money. No, it ain't like that. It's totally backwards. So what your government does, and your local governments do it too, what they do is they take test scores, and whichever schools are the best performing schools, they put more money in those schools.
Yeah.
Which is totally backwards. It's like, look, these kids aren't struggling, but these ones are. Why don't you pay
Yeah.
attention to them? Why don't you give them new football helmets? You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe the old football helmets is what's causing the rain issues.
Yeah. I just told Sully, I was like, then all your teachers would be probably losing their job.
Yeah,
Like if that's what they base that on.
well, I told it's a very simple process that they can do to figure out failure rates. Just go to every class and say, hey, how many kids are
Yeah.
failing in your class?
Yeah.
And then you take how many kids are in your class. Well, then you suck as a teacher. Maybe you need tutoring as how to be a teacher. And they don't talk about that. How many teachers do they have that actually suck as teachers? Do they get more training? No, they're allowed to continue being horrible teachers. Like when I went to school, we had mean teachers.
Yeah.
And they were just allowed to be mean. Like Miss Sandy over there is being an asshole for no reason. Hey, listen, her old crusty ass ain't had a good piece, like a good meal in so long. Listen, she ain't got no excuse to be mean to children. That's ridiculous. But she's allowed to continue to do that. And then when those children fail, she's not held accountable.
Well,
Nobody is held accountable.
I remember in school, like if we had a paper that was a bad paper, like we had to take that to our parent and have our parent sign it and bring it back to them.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know a lot of stuff is online now
No,
through Canvas or whatever, but still I'm just like,
they just expect us to throw money at them, right? They want us to throw our money at them, and then they want to buy these big ass expensive tables. Like I shit you not, the meeting table that they set us down, it cost 10 times more than this table right here did. This table looks great. You guys can't tell the difference.
well, and I know
I can't tell the difference, but this is only a $150 table. For some damn reason, the school needed a $1,200 meeting table that they use once or twice a year.
Well, and it pisses me off, because like in their syllabuses, they say like, we will not, it's the parent and the student's responsibility to keep track of the grades.
I try to keep track of the grades.
But when you don't update them for
Right.
weeks at a time, like I had like the one teacher I reached out to that said like, oh, well, I asked Sully for help and he says he doesn't need it. And I told her, okay, well, help him anyways. Like, why am I having to tell a teacher how to do their job? Like, that's ridiculous. And then I told her in
At
the
the
email.
very least, if you're not going to help, reach out. And if it's our responsibility to keep up with the grades, what the hell is the teacher doing? Because it seems like every child is failing. The teacher doesn't have any responsibility to grade the grades or grade the assignments. The teacher doesn't have any responsibility to be beholden to her job or his job. Nothing. The teachers don't have any responsibilities to sit there, but they want raises. No, you know what's going to happen is there won't be schools anymore because we're going to pull our kids out.
Well, and I told her, I was like, my first concern is,
And I am really upset. I'm sorry for yelling. I know that, I'm just passionate about it. I'm very upset with the way these people talked to me this morning. Very dismissive, very, very.
until you said you had a podcast and then they started being nice.
It's not, and it's not even about that. They should know, like, hey, when I pick up the phone to talk to somebody, even though we all live in a pretty small town, you never know who the hell you're talking to,
Yeah.
Like this podcast, I might not have a very big following on this podcast, but I know a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I didn't just start this with no whim, I thought I'd be good at it, and a lot of people I know that are in the industry thought
Yeah.
that I would be great at it. And
Well, and it's this specific school. Like,
It's not every school. I agree. It's not
this
every school.
school, I know so
Like we
many
had a meeting.
people
We
that
had
have,
a meeting at a different school today. Different school, different kid. Went great. I couldn't have asked for a better meeting.
yeah, and that actually, that meeting involved two different schools because it was a kindergarten transition meeting. But
Yeah, we had the principal of the other school on Zoom.
the special
We
education,
had the special education teacher. So our
well,
little one's
program
autistic.
director, the special education director.
Our little one's autistic going into kindergarten. So there's certain processes that we have to follow for the IEPs, and it was meeting for, but there was two different teachers in there, and there was two different special ed people in there, and then the principal for the other school. I guess the other teacher would have been the principal of both schools.
Yeah.
It was a great meeting. It was very respectful. I have had issues with that particular principal being very dismissive before in the past, but I just straight out like, listen, I don't like how you're being defensive and dismissive right now. And then she calms down and lets me speak and then understands what I'm talking about instead of talking over me.
Yeah, but like, I know so many people that have had students in this particular school that have had issues, the same issues we've had. You know, I know somebody that their grandson was homeschooled and said, hey, I want to try out public school, and went to this school.
Yeah.
Was there 2 days and
And
told
went
their
back.
mom, get me out of that school.
Yeah.
I want to go back and be homeschooled. And then like, I have the one person I know that's daughter keeps running away from the school.
Yeah.
Like, came from a rural school, transferred, they moved to town from a rural school, came to this school, and she's like, my daughter's a completely different kid. Like,
yeah.
awful.
So 2
Like,
years
it's
ago,
horrible.
2 years ago, our son was a completely different kid.
Yeah. Like completely out of control. Grades are like failing, like so bad she's going to have to go to an alternate school. And then, you know, the person I talked to today that told me, yep, we had the same exact issues that you're having at this school.
So it's multiple
We had
people that we've
teachers-
talked to. I've talked to over 20 people with the same issue. And now you've talked to a couple more just today.
Yeah.
And since we're venting about it, and so I wonder how many people it takes to do a class action, because like we've paid our taxes for I don't know how many years, and I've got a couple kids like we
Well, and then look at the crime pages. Like, I know we talked about the crime pages, right? But then you have people posting on the crime pages, calling this school out specifically for things that are taking place there. Like, there was a
there
grandmother.
was a kid with a gun on the damn bus they
Yeah.
never told us about.
Yeah.
It was an email like a couple days later.
Yeah. And I actually, like, one of my friends told me about it, that her mom's a teacher at the school.
Right.
And so then you had a grandmother on the crime page saying, like, my grandson is special needs, continuously bullied at this school. Administrators of the school know it's happening. Multiple conversations continues to happen by the same students, and nothing's being done about it. Like, what happened to the school district zero tolerance policy for bullying? Like
Well,
I said, they sure talk a good game
Yeah.
when you put your kid in that school, but then it's like a shit show once they're in there. I feel like we're at that, what's that damn freaking
That show on Netflix.
yes, that's what I feel like it's like.
Yeah,
Like, they sucker
and
you in, and then this is what you
the
got going
principal
on.
seems like one of those Karen bullies. Like she's so like, oh, I don't even like talking to her. So she's very nice, like to your face, but then it's that nauseating fake nice. It's that
Oh, I
can
guarantee
tell that smile on your face
guarantee-
isn't genuine.
I guarantee they freaking, every time one of us call, she like rolls her eyes.
Oh, I'm sure.
super
Like
hard.
right in a meeting, I'll call this the nominee for America's favorite teacher or whatever. Yeah, she has problems with our son behaviorally. My ass. This teacher was instigating a fight because she's a, you know what? I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it because I hope she
Yeah.
listens
and
to
I
this
think
podcast.
she's probably the same
I
teacher
hope her
that
husband listens to this podcast too.
I think she's the same teacher that the person I was talking to said that she was
She's so rude and
making
hateful.
fun of her autistic
She's
child.
so rude and hateful. It's like, do you not know, like, we live in a very small town
And
it'd
like
be
I
very
can
easy
see
to
your
find
face.
out.
Like I'm sitting right across from you. Like luckily, like you were sitting beside her, like 2 chairs down. But like if you would have seen her face sitting across from her,
no, but it'd be very easy to find out like all kinds of dirt on all these people. Like you don't have to like the superintendent of the school was just busted driving drunk. You know, and
Yeah.
nothing happened to that guy. He didn't get a jail sentence. Nothing happened to the guy. They gave him back his job and a slap on the back and say, "Attaboy, you're doing great." My ass, he's doing great. Their district's in a deficit still. They're begging for money, meanwhile spending thousands upon thousands of dollars on furniture they don't need. TVs, like their TV that they were showing off is a lot bigger than this one. This is a $200 piece of shit that I got from Sam's Club.
And meanwhile, when we walked into a different middle school, remember chunks of the wall were falling off because it was so dilapidated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just it's like we all grew up, all of us grew up here. And like the people that are from here, like never left. And so it would be very easy to be like, how people could do to us, like go back in a Facebook history and see what all we've said and done. Like, I don't really give a shit about that. Do it. I don't care. I'll talk about it. Hi, Dexter. But anyway, like it would be very easy to go back and see what these people have done and said in their private lives and be like, well, look, this is a good enough reason for you not to be here. So go away.
Yeah.
You know, and they don't understand this may be a small place, but the internet has made this world a much bigger place or much smaller place. I mean, like it may be a small town and news might not get out of this city, but eventually it will. I believe there was an article not too long ago from something local here that made it to People magazine. And I was just, wow, well, like our little local town here is making some big, it's not for good news, but making some big splash and stuff like that. And I'm like, with this thing here.
Could you imagine if one of our school board meetings showed up on a
I'm counting on it.
national-wide? Like, it's
I'm
so
counting on it.
ridiculous.
Like these people, like they are a joke and they take themselves way too seriously. I'm like, this is your job and you're being mean and hateful to each other, screaming at each other, throwing backpacks at people, like what the hell is going on? Like they like one of them January 6th rioters. Mm-hmm. You remember that? Yeah. One of them January 6th rioters was running for a school board. Like, you don't think that shit's going to grab attention? Come on now. Like, you've got national headlines
and
here.
And then we had a pastor who,
what was
has
that?
Some differing views.
Oh yeah, the bigoted pastor. Yeah. Well,
who was called out by the city councilman.
Hey, whatever it takes. Like let's just have an honest conversation. We're all people here. Like I'm no better than you.
Like,
You're no better than me.
I bet there is a ton of kids that their parents pulled them out of the school district.
Well, the lady I was talking to, I don't want to mention her by name because the administrator I talked to was very nice. After I let her know, hey, I can understand and sense the defensiveness and the like she was being very dismissive, and I can tell that like these are things that people are trained to do and say for de-escalation. And what they need to understand is I am smarter than your average bear. I know when people are trying to manipulate me into de-escalation because I was trained those same tactics myself. Yeah. I've been through psychology classes. I know exactly what you're doing.
Well, and it's, like you got to think like, I wonder if the price of tuition for like, mid-buck is so high because of so many students leaving our district.
I'm sure it's because they got so many problem kids coming in. They got to raise the tuition to weed out the poors.
because like, I don't know. Like, I guarantee, like, I hear it more and more people pulling their kids out of the school district. And, like, I would
And
be
these
interested,
people that are running this place don't think that eventually that's going to catch up to them.
I would
Like,
be
you
interested
would
to
think
see
that they would
enrollment
care.
numbers. Like, I knew that, like,
Let them all
like
close.
the
My taxes will
attendance-
go down. We'll start our own school.
remember the attendance, like, they just put out, like, last semester had went, like, it was only, like, 70% or something attendance.
Yeah, and their idea to change, like, to do that is to do more with the compulsory laws. Do you like the only reason our son goes to school? It's not to get an education. It's because they make him go.
Yeah.
With the threat of putting us in jail, they make our kid go to school. For what? They don't teach him.
Yeah.
They don't care if he learns. So what the hell does he have to go for? You know why? It's so they can pad their fat little pockets and so they can feed their children. What about my kids? What about my kids? You're able to go and buy a sandwich at the local sub shop, but my kid is going to be forced to work there because you did him a disservice.
Yeah.
And hey, if I leave him in the school, am I doing him a disservice? Because I know I can teach him better than they do.
Yeah.
And I'm an idiot. Like, I am here professing to the world, I am a functional moron. I have no more than an 8th grade education. All right. I got my GED, but I didn't formally go through any schooling past the 8th grade.
Yeah.
And so I consider myself an idiot. I may be smart, right? I may know a lot of things, but I don't know. I don't know a lot about much. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I don't see. I'm not very articulate right now. I don't have the words to explain. Like, I am intelligent. It's just I don't have that book smarts.
Yeah. Well, and that's, same thing with Sully. Like, Sully's a super smart kid, but like, and he understands, like, hey, I have to have this high school diploma. Like, he gets that. But nobody there is
But if we could have
invested
honest,
in his education.
Right.
So,
If we could have honest conversations, right? If we could have honest conversations with the administrators and be like, look, I know you can do a better job. I know you can. In fact, it's what we pay you to do. And there's so much bureaucracy. It takes them 6 months to change something. Like, really? You could tell Bobbio over there to fucking, grab the roller and grab the toolbox and get to work. It don't take no bureaucracy. You don't need a meeting to have a meeting about a meeting to have a meeting.
yeah.
And that's exactly what those people
That's why
do.
they need them fancy meeting tables to
Absolutely.
collect dust and put junk on and old Sonic cups.
Yeah, they had to clear the table when we came in there too. It's like, wow,
I remember that, an old Sonic cup on the table.
It's kind of ridiculous. And the reason why I know that, like, and then she was straight up honest that, like, at the end of the year, we have budget left. We got to spend it or we don't get it. Well, no, that's not the way you should do things. Maybe they're like, hey, give your teachers bonuses or something,
Yeah. Give them money to
performance bonuses. You could do that. Give them performance bonuses. Like, as a tax, look at you, Dexter. That's fun. That's hilarious.
Give them money to buy supplies for their classrooms.
Yeah.
Like,
Or like, if they gave them performance bonuses, like, let's just say $20,000 per year in a performance bonus across the entire district, right? That's a lot of money. Maybe not 20,000, maybe 10,000, right? Maybe a $10,000 bonus, performance bonus,
yeah.
which you don't get if you have a 10% failure rate.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you put a $20,000 on there, them teachers would be fighting over hey, these are the smartest kids. We're gonna we're gonna teach them all today.
Yeah.
I'm like $20,000. That'd give you a 2-week trip to Disney World, man.
Yeah. I don't know. There's about 3 people in that school I like.
We could take a
That's about
family
it.
trip to Europe with 20 grand. I could buy half a car with 20 grand.
Or maybe a whole car.
Well, I could buy
So it
several whole
depends.
cars, like if they're used. You know what I mean? Like, it's just irritating the fact that we're here today talking about this, and we are here because, like, I've tried numerous times to have discussions with the administrators of the school, with the teachers, and be like, I've told these people I'm here to help. What can I do to help my child succeed in your school? I don't have any problems when he comes home. I can get him to do the things I need him to do when he comes home. But if I don't know he needs to do them,
Yeah, because it's just like looking at some of his assignments, like if he hasn't done them at school and then he comes home and he'll be looking at me and he'll be like, I have no idea how to do that. And I'm like, okay, yep, maybe you weren't paying attention in class, but why were you allowed to not pay attention in class? Like when I see notes on his assignments that say, redirected Sully twice to shut his computer because he was listening to music or watching YouTube videos.
at that point, if he
And I'm like,
doesn't stop,
why?
get him out of the classroom.
Why did you have to redirect him twice? Like, because I've already had a conversation with this teacher about
I've told them, hey, I'm here to back you up. I'm on the teacher's side first. And I know it doesn't sound like that. Like if the teacher calls me and says, hey, your kid's being a pain in the ass, will you help? Yeah, I'll come
Yeah.
beat his ass right now if you want me to.
Yeah, like I've always in
I
every
have done that with the last kid we got to graduate. I called them, like they called me and I showed up at the school.
Yeah, like every email I send a teacher, I include my name, of course, my email address and my telephone number, and usually your telephone number. Never
We've told them
once.
text, call, email. We give them all and they do not care.
The only teacher that ever emailed me was Miss
Terrible
Marable
our child
of an
was.
email Sully sent her on a weekend.
But I hope she hears this. I don't even care. Like the way she treated us right in front of us, like rolling her eyes at you, like, and
I don't know if she was laughing at you, what you said about how the
No, she was, like,
curriculum's
scoffing.
or crying, because I'm like, is she laughing?
and if she was crying, she was probably faking, give me attention, because she's part of that generation. She's a generation before us. She's younger than us. And it was blatantly obvious, like, pay attention. And she's, she thinks she's very pretty. So, she's got to dress up for all them 8th graders. Did you see what she was wearing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would fire her in a New York minute. And you don't, like, you dress like that in front of 8th grade boys and you wonder why nobody's paying attention to what the hell you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, think about it, lady, put some clothes on,
The other day, he was like, she lied on me, Mom, like to get me out of her class. He's like, I did not intimidate her. I didn't have a red face. I wasn't yelling at her. Like, she made up all that stuff just because she didn't like me and wanted me out of her class. And
Yeah.
I was like, hey, well, guess what? You were out of her class. You didn't have to worry about her no more.
And like, hey, they don't have to worry about each other no more. She got him. So, and this worked out fairly well. He doesn't have to deal with her. She doesn't have to deal with him. And he's somebody else's problem.
Yeah.
And I can respect that, but she could have done that without rolling her eyes. We could have transferred him out of the class with a night. Like, you get farther with honey than you do vinegar, especially with me. And are you going to roll your eyes while I'm talking to you? Like, yeah, you're going to piss me off because you're no better than me. As a matter of fact, I can make more money sitting on my ass than you make in 5 years.
Yeah.
That should embarrass those people. Like, what would make you think that, some parent coming in to talk to you about their kids is like that you're better than they are just because you have a fancy French name,
Yeah.
Like, she's no better than me. I'm no better than her. Listen, I say this all the time. You shit like I do. We put our pants on the same way every morning. I put mine on one leg at a time. I bet she does too. I'm no better than her. I don't think I'm any better than her. But if she was talking to me and trying to convey a message, I wouldn't roll my eyes because I didn't like what she was saying.
Yeah.
That made me want to, that made me want to just walk out of the meeting because I knew they weren't taking me serious.
Well, and that's, I mean, it irritated me. She was even there as part of his 504 plan, a teacher that he already didn't see eye to eye with. She obviously didn't care for him either. Why would they bring her into that meeting? Wouldn't you think it would?
She teaches one of the easiest classes.
Wouldn't you think it would be a teacher that would teach like a core class instead of this elective class? But that's another thing. I don't think they got their priorities.
So,
right,
hey, everybody, if you've got an issue with your schools, or if you're homeschooling your students, or if you've thought about homeschooling yourself, hey, we want to hear from you. Our email is at the top, is in the description of our channel page. What is our email? Just say it.
It's like coffee
bearded
bad dad at gmail.com.
And we'll link it in the description. I think it's a pain in the ass to flash it up on the screen last time. We'll link it in the description, the email, and you can find us on Facebook, Coffee with Bearded Bad Dad on Facebook, at Coffee Bad Dad on X, Twitter. Reach out. We want to hear from you guys. If you guys have issues with these schools that we're talking about in specifically, shoot us a message and we'll tell you what that school is. Like, as a matter of fact, I don't even have like Truman Middle School, St. Joseph, Missouri. That's the issue that's the school that we're having.
They only have
issues
11
with.
days of school left.
And I know that we've got a pretty big following in St. Joe. Not only like our subscribers, we got a lot of people that listen on Spotify. You know, we're everywhere your podcast can be found. So we don't necessarily need to call the school or anything like that. But if you have experiences with this school in general, or the school district itself, or if you've homeschooled your children or thought of, we want to hear from you guys. Give us some emails and give us some stuff to talk about and think about, because we're considering taking one of our children out of the district while the other child will still be in the district. I'm so frustrated. I don't know what to do because he's a great kid. He is a great kid and I don't want to lose him.
Yeah.
You know, and I hate being mean to the guy. You know, I love him. And I don't want to punish him for being dumb, you know. Well, like, if he really is dumb, like, we've had him tested, like, he's very intelligent, but I don't want him to get to that point where he really can't do it and then me like forcing him to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But give us a shout if you guys have dealt with this experience, or, you know, you're getting ready to deal with it, or you thinking about taking your kids out of school, you want to be on the show, you know, hit us up on that email. We're on Facebook, X, what else are we on? Instagrams, yep. Reach out. And with that, we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.